video for Everyone's a Critic will focus on Annie, the musical, the movie, the third one in 35 years. What makes this musical so popular and why put it on again? We have some reviews from audience members that we will look at shortly that will focus on race, general changes made in the movie, as well as the changes to the musical numbers. What could be more important in a musical such as Annie?
Good movie and the great idea of modern multiracial reboot of not only Broadway musical Annie, but also there is a great remake based not only on the Broadway musical, but also new elements that were more better than the 1982 movie version that it was based on. Unfortunately, it has some great moments, but it falls short of the mark. The crazy, multi-talented Quvenzhané Wallis, Best Actress nominee for Beasts of the Southern Wild, is brilliant in the title role, but she is mired by the unclear update that is more hooked on customer electronics and social media, not to mention consistent selfies. Not to mention the supporting cast, which included the worst performance by an actress in cinema. Hint, Cameron Diaz is no Carol Burnett. Along with the rest of the cast who gave one-note performances, especially coming from Jamie Foxx, Rose Byrne, and Bobby Cannavale. The film is produced by the team of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, along with Sean Jay-Z Carter and Beyonce Knowles, who served as executive producers. Don't get me wrong here, that this new version of Annie is quite kid-friendly and the musical numbers are great, but Miss Wallace's performance is a dead-on target, but the rest of the acting falls just short of the mark.
A great way of looking at the focus of the story and how the story of Annie would fit in today's society. Your judgments of the actors is balanced, if at time a bit cruel. I mean, worst actress in cinema history is a bit of an exaggeration, pal.
Orange is the new black.
When I heard they were going to make a remake of Annie, I was skeptical. Then I heard that Beyonce and Jay-Z were producing it, and I got so freaking excited! Because if all else fails, the soundtrack would be fantastic. I'm happy to say the movie was great, and the music exceeded my expectations. Great job to Quvenzhané Wallis. It is interesting having modern artists redoing the music to classical plays. You never know how it might turn out.
While Beyonce and Jay-Z are talented producers, it does make me wonder how their take on the musical genre is taken by school's old...
All you racist people are pure ignorant. Your parents should be ashamed of the lack of manners you were given. This movie is awesome! I'm glad I taught my kids better than you, negative Nancys. Skin color should not even be a concern. Beautiful little girl, and she made the movie perfect. We'd see it 4 times as a family and waiting on the DVD.
Still amazing how in this day and age our creative casting can be responded with such ignorance. Changes to a play and creative adaptations, if appropriate, should be encouraged.
I liked the original more. This one was cute, but I didn't like how they absolutely ruined all the songs.
How?
Just done watching. Definitely one of the best musicals I've seen. Brought me back to my childhood days. Annie is such a wonderful movie, and it means a lot to my dad. He can relate to Annie so much. I'm blessed to have a father like him. He didn't grow up with a father or mother figure. He couldn't help but cry during the movie, and so did my sister and I. This is the best film I have ever seen.
I'd also adopt Isabella and Mia. I mean, who cares if she's a teenager? She needs love too.
What does this have to do with the actual movie? Where's Sandy?
Sandy, why are you following me?
Oh my god, no wonder people don't like this. This girl can't even sing. Oh, enough with this race bullshit card. The entire world is not racist. I'm half Hispanic, and I learned long ago pulling the race card is lazy and pathetic. The movie soundtrack was catchy, but the plot being a remake lacked originality and was rushed And the girl may sing well, but I work in the industry, and I happen to know she's a little brat. You need a history lesson and a freaking social science
Just
lesson.
because you haven't experienced racism does not mean it does not exist. Have you ever heard of cultural appropriation? If not, I suggest you Google it.
My favorite song! You never fully dress without a smile.
Who cares what they're wearing on
In
May?
the 80s? Initially I was skeptical of this remake, but the more I see of it, the more I'm enjoying it. I think you guys dropped the ball on I think I'm gonna like it here, but the other music sounds great. I especially love the hip-hop beat in Tomorrow. I hope I get this soundtrack soon. Hopefully it is released soon.
I seriously hope that this piece of trite garbage doesn't kill the momentum that musicals have been regaining in movies these last few years. Just to qualify, I don't have any real problem with trying to update the story for the modern age. My problem is the absolute butchering of the original score. You don't auto-tune musical theater, you just don't. And it's utter disrespect for its source material. You see, the terrible cameo made out the original version, Annie, at the beginning of the film. You know what I mean.
You sound really intelligent.
It's 2014. This is a modern version of Annie. Like, do you really expect the songs to be like the 1980s? I mean, seriously, people like different kinds of music. If you don't like it, watch the old ones.
I think I'm gonna like it here that I'm the least keen on. You made a very good point.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I get that they didn't copy the original Annie, but they could have at least done a little better with the songs. Some were cut short. They didn't even really sing You're Never Fully Dressed. They just recorded it and used it in one scene closer to the end of the movie. I thought this movie wasn't horrible, but they could have done better, especially with I think I'm gonna like it here.
Except that they make it very, very, very clear that they're not trying to do musical theater / adapt it in a traditional sense. Also, if anything, I think the cameo was poking fun at the racist / elitists' narrow perception of what an Annie character should be.
Now, the term butchering can be very subjective.
Updates can be subjective and provide more strength to the number.
Don't like that they acknowledge that they're singing. It doesn't work on screen at all. If the characters are aware they're singing, then it calls into question, how do they know the words and the dance moves? And why isn't anyone else saying anything? And in group numbers, how does everyone else know to sing and when to come in? And isn't it strange that Annie happens to go stay with people that just randomly burst into song as well?
I know, right?
Well, it's a musical. It's kind of normal that everyone sings along and knows the dances. It's always like that in musicals.
Every song had auto-tune in it. Why would they do this to Annie?
Auto-tune in a movie produced by pop stars? Need I say more?
Annie 2014 is getting a lot of backlash and criticism, but the only thing that really matters is little girls love it, and the clothing line is almost non-existent, sold out at Target. Speaks volumes.
Funny how commercialism can mean more to a movie than the actual movie.
Comments on the trailer of the new Annie movie starring Quvenzhané Wallis and Jamie Foxx. Would you look at how racism isn't a thing in today's society? The new look Annie hints at a progressive take on a well-worn story, but smothers its likable cast under cliches, cloying cuteness, and a distasteful materialism.
Hey, it's my job to be sarcastic. The real question is, with such a wide divide in numbers, does the power of persuasion lie with critics or the people? Does one professional review outweigh 100 non-professional reviews?
The real question is, why do all the orphans have iPhones?